Hi Studio Mix family. So I am going to be giving you an all-core class today. You need no equipment at all, just be someplace comfortable. Having a mat is really a good idea. We will be doing some kneeling stuff today, so it's nice to be able to roll it up, or you can just use a blanket at some point. That will definitely help as well. But let's just get right to it. So I'd like for us to start off with a little bit of spine opening stuff. Starting off in a diamond position. This is one of my favorite stretches to kind of open up and loosen up the hips. Go ahead and rock from side to side while you hold on to your shins and just kind of feel your body relax a little bit, especially the muscles along, the braid-like muscles along the sides of the spine. Try and release everything. And then from there, go ahead and introduce a little bit of a, kind of like a cat-cow motion where you're opening, flexing, and extending. Just front to back through the spine and really feel your hips kind of move around a little bit. So as we're doing this, this series, there's a couple of places where the hip flexors have an opportunity to really start to tense up. So you want to be aware of those from the get-go before we get going into this. And then from there, kind of find that perfect middle place wherever feels comfortable for you. You can hang on to your legs if you want to, just for support, or you can place your hands behind you. We're going to go for some side bending. So side bending should feel like you're going up and over to one side and up and over to the other. We're not going to stop and hold. We want this to be more dynamic movement, but really feel like your head is going up and over rather than compressing down. There's a length to it. Because remember, at this point, we're just trying to soften things. And then keeping that in mind, go ahead and find that perfect neutral spine. Hold on to your shins for comfort. And then go ahead and take both hands to one shin, or you can place one hand behind. Give yourself an easy stretch and a twist. And remember, these twists, we're not trying to wrench the spine, we're just trying to create space. That's all that we're doing. Other side. Give yourself a deep breath. And go into the other side. So making sure everything stays nice and open. This first one is the most articulated out of everything, so I'm giving you my profile for this one. We're going to start off with a bridge press. Again, trying not to tense up through the hip flexors as much as possible. So we're going to start from El Junco and El Trunco in the back. What we're going to do is we're going to do a bridge press, but we're going to articulate through the spine. So bone by bone, down the spine, feeling every part of the spine work its way down. The last thing to hit the ground is your tailbone, and then finally rest. And then that's the first part to come back up. So start with the hips, all the way up, so you feel a stretch in your hip flexors, and then articulate through the spine all the way down. Try to have as much weight pressing through your heels as possible. I know for some of us, we have that tendency to want to push weight into the ball of our foot, so it would look something like that. That's not going to help you. That's actually going to overwork the quadricep. We're trying to utilize this side so this side gets to relax a little bit. So keeping that same articulation through the spine and pressing through the heels as we do this. And really feeling the belly be a part of that articulation. Starting to wake up the senses of the core, and then back down. We'll go up and down one more time. Really feeling bone by bone all the way up, and bone by bone all the way down. We're going to start off and end off with a crunch series, and this is going to be 20 of each of these movements. There are 6 movements, 20 each. We're going to go through, try to breathe with it. The exhale should be on the exertion, so usually that should be where we're exhaling for these ones. Follow along with me, or just kind of throw in some music for yourself to listen to and go at your own pace. But it's 6 exercises, back to back, 20 apiece. It should be a lot. So we're going to go into this one. First, tabletop, setting up the position. You want to make sure that your knees are directly above your hips. Sometimes we go to tabletop and we like to do this because it's just easier. We want to make sure that there's a little bit of pressure working on the lower abdominal. That's our starting position. Hands go behind the head for support in the neck. 20 times crunches without moving in the knees. Here we go. And try to make sure you're not ripping your head off. Right? So the throat is open. So that's the first movement. The second movement is basically the same thing, but just crossing over. So cross over. Again, 20 of these. 4, 5. Still trying not to rip off the head. Throat is open. Next one is bicycle triplets. I like to flex my feet for this one because it goes 1, 2, and then press. 1, 2, and then press. This is 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3. And the reason I like to flex my feet is because I really feel like I'm pushing away. I'm guessing I'm on 18, 19, and 20. Then we go back to the bridge. This one is just going to be straight up and down, no articulation necessary. Just going all the way up through the range of motion, all the way up to your hip stretch. We'll call that 6, 7, and again, this is maximum height without feeling compression in your low back. If you do feel compression, it might mean that you're kind of swaying the back and leading from the ribs. You want to tuck the tailbone down and lead from the tailbone. That's why we started with that first exercise. I have no idea what number I'm on, but I'm guessing 12. I don't know, 12, 13, 14. And then the next 2, you got 2 left to go. This next one is called an arrow. So a couple of different options with the arms, but the legs should be nice and long through the hip flexors. This is going to utilize the upper abdominals just a little bit more and keep this open. So one foot is stacked on top of the other. Go for length. The arms can either be right here if you want to, or you can cradle your arms in your hands like that so that your head can rest on top of your upper arm bones. So for this one, you want to feel like the ribs are sliding down to your hip bones. And the arms up overhead, they're just adding weight. The more leverage you have up here, the heavier it is for your upper abdominals. Please make sure you don't feel any compression in your low back. Please make sure you don't release your ribs at the bottom. And I'm just going to guess I'm on number 8, 9, 10. These are called arrow crunches. And rest, switch the legs, keep going for another 20. Unless you're like me and you can't count. I can't talk and count at the same time. So that's 1. We're going to go through the next series again the exact same way, 20 times. And that's your crunch series for the day. Even though there's bridges in there, that's meant to be a nice little moment of relaxing for the abdominals, for the rectus. And let's go and get this out of the way. We're going to go through everything again. So tabletop straightforward, tabletop crossover. Then we went into the bicycle triplets. Then we went into the bridge presses, arrow and arrow. I'm going to try and count this one. Here we go. So knees right above the hips. Here we go. And then crossovers when you're ready, counting out 20 for yourself. And then bicycle triplets. 1, 2, squeeze. 1, 2, squeeze. And press. 19, and 20. Bridge presses. All the way up, all the way down. Listening to your low back. Remember, if you need to tuck your tailbone, please do. And driving through the heels so you're feeling the back of the house. And 20. Then transition to your arrow. Remember, this is about length, 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 not just the position of the feet. You're actually lengthening the thigh bones. Arm position of your choice. Remember, you can go here if that's weird for your shoulders or neck. Absolutely. Ready, counting out. And then going right away to the other side. Counting out 20. That's a lot. Okay, moving on. Then we go on to, what did I have next for you? Oh, a nice little stretch. Fancy that. A cobra. Okay. So for the cobra, it's the same idea of trying to establish length through your thighs. For this one, it's just a stretch. So go ahead and place your elbows on the mat or on the floor right beneath your shoulders. And then from there, all it is just a lifting of the chest. And feel like you're actually pulling the spine out of the hips. So it's not that, like the Little Mermaid, right? Really, it's more like you're pulling that way. Pulling the chest up. Like you want to get the diamond necklace forward for everybody to see. Shoulder blades should be pulling it towards your spine. And if that feels fine for your back, for some of you that might be the case, keep the thigh bones reaching long and pressing the hands a little bit more. Keeping the shoulders from shrugging up. And going to lower it down. We're going to go to a quadruped next. I'm going to go ahead and show you from this side because the lighting's better. I'm kidding. We're going to go into a quadruped. So make sure your hips are right above your knees as they attach to the floor. And likewise your shoulders right above your hands. Make sure that you're not too wide, definitely not too narrow for this one. And then from there, tuck your toes under. And then lift from your belly button until you feel your knees hover off the floor about that much. Then from there, without losing any spinal length, go and tap one knee and then tap the other. So I'm keeping the shoulders exactly where they are. The only thing that's actually moving are my hips and my knees. So my belly button's drawing in towards my spine. So to look at it from this angle, I'm in this position. I lift my knees up and then it's one knee and then the other. I don't know if you can see that, but one knee and the other. So the only thing that should be moving is a little bit in your hips. We're going to count out 20 of those. Here we go. And 1, 2. So ideally, you've got all of this support through the shoulders, through the core. The only thing that really has to move is your hips to tap those knees down. And the knees are just doing feather touches, like tap, 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 tap. I have no idea what number I'm on. We'll go for like 8 more. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's a really good one for people like me who've got really tight hip flexors and they've had any low back problems. If those quadratus lumborum muscles, the two very small muscles on the lower back, if they like to seize up or you're tight in the low back, that's a great exercise for you to do at any time because that one helps to acknowledge support through the body, but not tension. So that's part of what an all-core class should have, is not just kind of blasting one muscle all the time, but teaching everything to integrate so that as one is supporting, it can still have mobility, so that hip has the ability to move even though it's still maintaining support. It's harder than it seems, but it'll definitely facilitate release in some of those tight areas of the low back. That's one of my favorites. So take that as you will. The next thing that we're gonna do are kneeling obliques. Now this one is where it might get a little bit tough on your knee. You can do this in a standing position. What I do for this one is I take the mat and then I fold it over, or the blanket, or whatever you're on. And then there, we go into this position. So one knee has a nice, good amounts of support. The other leg is just kind of getting out of the way and providing a little tripod for you. We're gonna be doing obliques that go this way. So that length of the spine that we did in the warm-up, same thing here. You wanna make sure you're not collapsing into it, but actually, like you're jumping onto a bed, right? Level 1 is here. Level 2 is here. Level 3 is here. It's just amount of leverage. How much leverage do you want it? So level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay? Go ahead and count out 15 for yourself. 1, 2, remember length. 3, 4. If you're starting to feel any compression in your low back, again, tuck your tailbone a little bit, just a little bit, and then a last count. It's hard for me to count and talk at the same time. So we're just gonna call that 15. If you'd like to do a second set of 15, go ahead. I'm just gonna do 15 on right, 15 on left. But if you'd like to repeat, that's the beauty of having a video, you can always just go back and do it all over again. Or pause it, that's fine too. I'm sure you don't need me. Here we go. Level 1, level 2, level 3, tailbone is tucked, spine is long, belly button in towards the spine, and here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll call that 15. Feel free to go back and do another set if you would like to. This other one is also focusing on length, but I wanted to tie in one more piece of the core, and that's the low back. So the low back is not really very, very strong on its own as far as movement production without the use of the glutes. This and this, they need to be working together. So keep that in mind as we go into this one. These are called flat backs, kneeling flat backs. You can do this in a standing position if you want to. Personally, I find the information of feeling the glutes and the hamstrings kind of helping out with this position is a little bit more evident in a kneeling position. That's for me, but if not, feel free, stand it up. It's the same movement basically. To get this movement, first place your hands on your hips. Spine is long, not tucking for this one. Neutral spine, and then from there you're gonna go into a flat back and hinge, but it's not so much me going that way, it's me going that way. So it's the pelvis going back is what's gonna recruit this guy to help support this guy, because we're gonna start adding some leverage. So again, level 1, level 2, level 3. So level 1 would be here, maintaining a nice long spine. Level 2 would be here, and then push into the floor with your glutes. And level 3 would be here. Obviously that little bit of leverage makes a big difference. So it's kind of like you're folding yourself up. It shouldn't be on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 10 kind of exercise, like that crunch series could have been for you. This one should be more like, ooh yeah, I feel it. This is integrative. Let's go for 10 more. And remember, you're not collapsing completely back. You're actually trying to even yourself out. Count out those 10 for yourself and focus on that weight into the floor and the low back working with the glutes. And I'm trying to get all parts of the core to contribute to this. And we'll call that like 10. And from there, go ahead and place your hands on your head or keep it on your shoulders and just go for a couple of twists. Again, reminding the upper body that even though you've got a lot of activation for support, you can still have mobility. And you're twisting from those ribs ever so slightly. Go ahead and give yourself about 4 more twists, maintaining length. And then come into a child's pose. One little stretch to finish with. Just go ahead and find a comfortable child's pose. You may prefer the one where the knees are a little bit wider so you can drop the chest a little bit more. By all means, go ahead. Go ahead and find a place where you can rest your head. Shake the head no. And investigate all the muscles along the spine, those braid-like muscles along the side of the spine that might be a little bit tense. Breathe them out while the muscles are still warm. And then from here, take your right arm and thread it underneath your left armpit and drop the head down so you can relax the neck in this twist. Give yourself a deep breath and notice how the inhalation actually helps to enhance the stretch. And then swing it around to the other side. And go ahead and stretch out whatever else you need from all of that. Thank you for joining me for this. This is your all-core class, and keep in mind we're going to be posting videos all throughout this process. Please be in the loop and subscribe to the studio, or just kind of keep on top of your emails. We'll be emailing out video classes for you ongoing. So be a part of the team, and we will see you hopefully soon.